Welcome students. This session is for MA Previous English Literature, paper first, that is English Language and Documentation. In this session we'll be doing consonants of English. If you look at the definition of what a consonant is, we see that consonant is a basic speech sound in which the breath is at least partly obstructed and which can be combined with a vowel to form a syllable. So as you know students that when we pronounce a vowel, the air which is coming out of our vocal tract is not at all obstructed in any way. For example, if we say a, e, u, we come to know that air is not obstructed in any way. That is why that sound is called a vowel sound. But when we talk about a consonant, we see that somewhere are active articulators, and when I say active articulators, I mean to say our lower jaw, tongue, and a vocal tract. Somewhere some obstruction is created by these active articulators and a sound is pronounced. That is why it is called a consonant, and this is a basic difference between consonant and a vowel. And these consonants, when they are combined with a vowel, they form a syllable. And what a syllable is, I've already discussed in my class as well as in my earlier sessions. If you look at the basic features of consonants, we come to know that the first thing that we need to remember is manner of articulation, which means how air escapes from the vocal tract when a consonant is made or when it's pronounced. So this how is very important. Whether it is stops, that means air is blocked in the mouth and suddenly it is released, or it is a fricative, that air is passing through the oral tract with a lot of friction, and nasals. We also need to know that consonants are nasals too. That means oral tract is completely closed and air is escaping through nose. After this manner of articulation, the second important thing is place of articulation. That is, we need to know where the vocal tract, the obstruction of the consonant occurs. So as I said in my earlier slide, that consonant means that somewhere air is obstructed in the mouth. So it's very important that when any consonant is pronounced, we need to know where this obstruction is taking place and which speech organs are involved. That means if it's bilabial, for the pronunciation, both lips will get involved. Like for the sounds like m, when you say m sound, you see that both the lips join together and the sound is pronounced. Alveolar, that means tongue against the gum ridge. The hard ridge, which is just behind your upper teeth, that is called alveolar ridge. And we need to see that while pronouncing this place of articulation, whether alveolar ridge is used or not. And velar, when you move your tongue back in your upper mouth region, you find that soft area that is called soft palate. So these are the place from where any articulation can take place. The phonation of a consonant is how the vocal cords vibrate. The third thing is phonation. The first was manner of articulation, place of articulation. The third is phonation. That means when you are pronouncing any consonant, you need to know whether vocal cords vibrate during the articulation or they do not vibrate. So vocal cords are right there placed on your throat, and when you feel a vibration over there, if you put your finger on that on the throat of yours, and if you feel that vocal cords are vibrating fully, the consonant is called voice consonant. And when the vocal cords do not vibrate at all, it is voiceless. So this is also one of the category in which we define a consonant, whether the consonant is voiced or voiceless. So if your vocal cords vibrate during pronunciation, they are called voiced, and if they do not vibrate at all, it is voiceless. And students, you can do this experiment yourself. If you pronounce the consonant s, that is s, if you have that hissing sound s, you feel that the vocal cords, you put your finger on your throat and you know that they are not vibrating, that means it's a voiceless consonant. And if you pronounce the sound like z, 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 as in ZTV, z, so your vocal cords vibrate and you know that it's a voiced consonant. So this way, the consonants of English can be divided into voiced and voiceless. Now, let's go in detail. Place of articulation, that is where. The name of the parts of articulatory system that are used in making them. So when we talk about place of articulation, we know that the active and passive articulators are involved in producing any sound. So here we come to know that from where a particular consonant is articulated. The first one is bilabial. That means both lips touch or almost touch. The sounds in this group are p, b, m, and w. So here you pronounce these sounds and you know that your both lips are involved. So that's why these sounds are called as bilabial sounds, because here both the lips touch or almost touch for pronouncing these sounds. The second one is labiodental. That means the upper teeth softly touch the lower lip. So your lower lip is involved and your lower lip touches the upper teeth, and the sounds in the labiodental group are f and v. So students, you can pronounce yourself and you can see that how your lower lip touches your upper teeth softly, and these sounds are produced. Third is dental. It's also called introdental because you know that the tip of tongue touches the bottom edge of the top teeth or between the teeth. So your tongue is touching top teeth or it's touching between the teeth. The sounds in this group are the and the. Alveolar. The tip of tongue touches or almost touches the alveolar ridge, the tooth ridge. The sounds in this group are t, d, s, z, n, and l sound. So these sounds, you know, when you're pronouncing them, your tip of the tongue is touching the alveolar ridge, or you can say the tooth ridge. Palatal, which is also called alveolo-palatal, and in this place of articulation, the blade of the tongue touches or almost touches the hard palate, that is the roof of the mouth. So when your blade of the tongue is touching the roof of the mouth, these sounds are produced, and the sounds in this group are sh, zh, ch, j, r, and y. So these are the sounds which fall in this group of palatal. Then you have velar region, that is the back of the tongue touches the soft palate. The sounds in this group are k, g, and ng sound. So these, for pronouncing these sounds, you can yourself experiment. You can yourself judge that the back of the tongue is touching the soft palate. And then there is the glottal area. There is a friction in the glottis, that is space between the vocal cords. So it's somewhere located in your inside your throat area. And the only phoneme in this group is h. So when you pronounce h, you come to know that it is somewhere pronounced from the glottal area. So that's why this sound is called glottal. Now, manner of articulation. Up till now, you saw place of articulation, that means from which area of the mouth this particular sound is produced. Now we see that how you're going to produce any particular consonant sound, whether it comes out smoothly or roughly, whether it's like a pop or a hiss or a hum. So there is a manner through which any particular consonant sound is produced. The first category is stops. They are also called plosives. Now, how these are produced is the air stream is blocked completely somewhere in mouth. Air pressure builds up and then it's released like a tiny explosion. The stops in English are, or you can say the plosives in English are p, b, t, d, k, and g. So you yourself can see that when you're pronouncing these sounds, somewhere the air stream is completely blocked and then it's suddenly released. The air is suddenly released when you are pronouncing the sounds like p, b. There's a complete closure and a sudden release. That's why they are called plosives or stops. Now look at fricatives. The airstream is compressed and passes through a small opening in the mouth, creating friction. So especially when you are producing these fricative sounds, you see that the air stream, somewhere it gets obstructed and air is passing through the small opening in mouth, and it creates a friction sort of a hissing sound. The airstream is never completely blocked, so the sound can continue. The fricatives are, so you see that in plosives, the airstream is completely blocked. But when you are pronouncing fricatives, the airstream is not completely blocked, and with friction, this air is coming out of the mouth, and the sound is also coming out. And the sounds that are in this category are f, v, th, the, s, z, sh, zh, and h. And in these sounds, when you pronounce, you can easily see that how a hissing sound, a friction, is created when you produce these sounds. The next are affricates. Now, these affricates are a combination of a stop followed by a fricative. So, in affricates, you're going to see that air is blocked in the mouth, but it's also coming out with lot of friction. That's why they are called affricates. An explosion with a slow release. You can say that there is a stop of the air and slowly it's released with a lot of friction. That's why they come into the category of affricates. The affricates are ch and j. Each of these symbols is made up of two parts, a stop symbol and a fricative symbol. See, you have the t symbol and it's followed by the sh. So this shows that somewhere there is the air in the mouth is stopped and then it's released by the mouth with a lot of friction. And the same way, there is j sound. It's not j of Hindi, it's j. J, that means the air is coming out of the mouth with a lot of friction. This reminds us that sounds also have two parts. So somewhere you see that affricates, they are made up of two sounds together, one plosive, the other one fricative, and this way these two sounds, ch and j, they fall into the category of affricates. Next are nasals. In these sounds, the tongue or the lip blocks off the vocal tract so that air can't go out through the mouth. Instead, the passage leading up into the nose opens so that the air stream can go out through the nose. The sounds in this nasal groups are m, n, and ng. So you see, when you pronounce m, n, and ng, they are nasals because their air is not escaping through the vocal tract, rather somewhere vocal tract is closed and air is escaping through the nose, and that's why these sounds fall into the category of nasal group, and they are m, n, and ng, and these sounds, they are produced through nasal, through nose. That's why they are nasals. The next category are liquids. These are sounds that are pronounced very smoothly, like water flowing in a river. The airstream moves around the tongue in a relatively unobstructed manner. The liquid sounds in English is l. And you know, when you are speaking the sound l, you know that your tongue goes up and it does not obstruct any air which is coming out of your mouth, and air is escaping from around the tongue in a relatively unobstructed manner. That's why it's called as a liquid l sound. The last one is glides, which is also called as semi-vowels. So why they are semi-vowels? Because you know that I have already talked about the basic difference between a consonant and a vowel. In vowels, air which is coming out of the mouth is not obstructed in any manner, and in consonant, this air which is coming out of mouth gets obstructed. But in the semi-vowel condition, the glide is like a very quick vowel. For this reason, they are sometimes called semi-vowels, which means half vowels. They sound like vowels, but they can function as consonants. That's why we call them, or you put them into the category of semi-vowels. The glides in English are w, which sounds like quick w, and y, which sounds like a quick I. So somewhere you see that when you're pronouncing these sounds like w, y, and r, you see that the glide is just like a semi-vowel. It's a quick vowel. So these are the various manners of articulations that we have talked about. And let's have a look at this table, quick look at this table. And from this table, you'll be very clear that these are the place of articulation, and these are manner of articulation. So students, if you remember this table, you will be very clear about each and every sound. Like this is p, b, t, d, k, g. This is ch and j, which is post-alveolar, and they are affricates. And in this, these are the fricative category, and these are the place of articulation from where they are pronounced. F, v as labiodental, th, the as dental, s, z as an alveolar, sh, j as post-alveolar sounds, and h as glottal. Then you have nasals, m, which is bilabial, n, which is from alveolar ridge, and ng, which is pronounced from the velar region. Then you have lateral, that is l, which is from the alveolar region. And then you have approximant, or you also call them as semivowels, that is w, which is bilabial, r, which is post-alveolar, and y, which is palatal. So this table, students, gives you a clear idea about place of articulation and manner of articulation, and you will also be clear about whether any consonant is a voiced consonant or a voiceless consonant. So in your exams, if you get a definition about consonants and about the place or manner of articulation, I think that this table is going to help you a lot. So thank you, students, for this session. We'll continue with phonetics in my next session. Thank you.